I'm sorry, but this is not the time and place for children. I must ask you to leave.
The following program contains material that may be offensive to some viewers.
Well, so far the Essentialist monocle seems to be getting us somewhere. Or is it?
You lose! I think not!
What the hell is this light?
Because what I had to ask myself was, if I had that same kind of inner brain feminization, incomplete masculinization, hidden intersex condition that means I'm really a girl inside, how come it's taken me over 30 years to notice?
Got some odd anomalies.
If I can go half my life believing I'm one gender, only to figure out that I'm not, then just like the social constructivists say, being socialized as masculine must be really powerful. Like full-on brainwashing.
Yes, master, I obey!
So why doesn't it work on these transgender kids?
Constructicons inferior.
They jump the fence the moment they get the chance. They go bat for the other team.
They're so cute at this age. Destroy!
They do it in India, in Thailand, in Brazil, all over.
You don't scare me.
All that pressure to be a normal man, all that homophobia against acting girly and sissy.
Transform!
Bounces right off these kids. Even if their families kick them out and they end up on the streets sucking tomcat bits for a living, which seriously happens way too often, they stay true to who they are.
Constructicons inferior.
Who are you calling inferior?
So, and just assume for a moment that I am in fact transgender. How come it's taken me, and maybe you, and so many older trans people in the West today, so long to figure all this out? Are we so dense and clueless that we make it all the way to a midlife crisis before cracking some eggs and making omelets?
No, that can't be right.
God.
So I could clearly not choose the wine in front of you.
At the moment, we appear to be stuck.
So who's laying these eggs?
I'm not sure.
He told me the moon was an egg, Khaleesi. That once there were two moons in the sky.
It would almost seem that one of the moons is lighter than it should be.
What? You sure?
Okay, some of us work it out a lot earlier, in our 20s, or even in our teens. But still, it does take us a while to see through all that AMAB stuff. The internet's made it easier.
Who are you?
I saw you in the chat room, but you left before I had a chance to talk to you.
But why are there places where people ask if they're trans at all? Shouldn't we all just know, from childhood on? And until we do work it out, we seem pretty good at acting like guys, whether we're faking it or not. In fact, while some trans women fight to get into girl space from an early age, a lot of us try really hard not to cross that fence. We resist the pull of that feminine gravity.
It's mega embarrassing!
Sometimes we work out a lot, or get into an ultra-manly career, like military service.
You eyeballing me, mister?
No, sir!
We bury that egg so deep and hide it so well that when we finally come out as trans, everyone's jaw drops.
Where'd that come from? Well, the next time I see that ugly face of yours, I want it clean shaven. Suck in that chest.
あなたの翼は見せてはいけないの。いいですね。あなたの翼は時が来るまで絶対に。
Constructicons unite! No way!
This is a fight to the death.
Conflict.
Doesn't make sense.
There's something I'm missing.
We have a conundrum.
Can I say something?
No.
I'm
Crazy.
okay. Now that makes sense.
Maybe not crazy, maybe that's the wrong word.
Look, we've decided that you're insane.
Are you cracking up, little man?
Just like this!
That is a joke. Do you have a better hypothesis?
Maybe. Not enough mass for its size.
This suggests tension.
It's as though it were hollow.
And who will I be working for?
I can't say.
You're trying to trick me into giving away something. It won't work.
You want an explanation? Instead, I'm afraid I can only give you more questions.
Questions that need answering. Temporal probes launched.
Alright, enough of me wasting time trying to think my way out of this maze. Somebody's got to have figured all this out already, right? It's time to hit the library.
An information center. Excellent.
Small rectangular objects. They're called books.
The library.
I don't get out much, so I read.
Maybe this book can help. Transgender History by Susan Stryker. It's a great name, by the way. Second edition, 2017. It's all about transgenderism in the United States. Covers over 100 years of trans issues. Goes over all the politics, the activism, the medical history, all the struggles that trans people have faced in the face of severe discrimination. Well, that last sentence needed more time in the oven. Anyway, I'm sure there'll be something in here about this thing puzzling me. Well, there's like one page about Joanne Roughgarden's idea. She suggests there's a cognitive lens in the developing brain that decides which gender you're going to fix on as your teacher. It's kind of like that gender detective thing. Sounds legit. And there's also a brief bit on the possible effects of chemical pollution. But that's pretty much it. Even though the author herself is a trans woman who transitioned in her 30s and identifies as a lesbian.
So where is everyone?
Oh, how about this book? True Selves, the classic 1996 book on Transsexualism 101. Well, it says here that sexual orientation has nothing to do with the gender identity. Yes, I've heard that before. It doesn't really help. And it also says on page 21 that we all know our gender identity by the time we're 5 years old. That seems very specific. Plus, it says the only way to know someone's gender identity is if they tell you. And this bit's in italics, by the way, so it must be true, right? So, I guess if I do end up deciding that I'm really a woman inside, nobody else is allowed to tell me different?
Yes, that follows.
I see no possible problems with this whatsoever.
I was already 5 hours late.
Oh, yes, I have died and gone to heaven.
Do I detect a note of sarcasm?
You made your decision then?
Not remotely.
Can I please say something?
No.
What about this one? Whippin' Girl by activist Julia Serrano. She's got a lot to say about this thing she calls subconscious sex, which sadly doesn't have anything to do with submarines, at least until now. It's your real underlying gender that can stay hidden for years. Here's a quote from Serrano herself. That sounds a lot like egg cracking, doesn't it? A bit like my own experience, although mine obviously took a lot longer. Sweet. Sorted. Guess I don't have to worry anymore. Of course, Serrano kind of assumes subconscious sex exists without actually showing that it does. And I'd prefer something more scientific, you know, with bar graphs and machines that go ping and things. But Serrano's pretty scathing about the experts and their outdated binary notions of gender, and she's a scientist herself, which of course means she automatically knows everything about every field, so I suppose there's no point in finding out what those old white guys have to say. And that's a relief, because I love being able to stop at the first explanation that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Except, how does subconscious sex and egg cracking square with Roughgarden's cognitive lens idea, or the claim in True Selves that we all know our gender identity by age 5?
That's a very good question.
I suppose people are complicated.
That just raises further questions.
So, what you're saying is you don't know what this is?
Not yet, sir.
It's silent.
The library.
I also tried some more sciencey books about general sex and gender differences. You'd think transgender would be important to cover in books like those, wouldn't you? Yet only one gave the topic more than a page or two. And she pretty much concluded that it's complicated.
What the hell's going on?
Oh, all the trouble you've caused me. Damn you.
Come on, people, I just want one bar graph. Is that too much to ask?
This case is empty.
What do we do now?
Well, I haven't been able to find anything which could explain it.
I have a different theory to offer you, sir.
The moon's an egg.
What the hell are you talking about?
Tell me about the moon, what's that? It's not real, it was built as part of the library. Signal was definitely coming from the moon.
Aw, not this again. You're crazy.
That's very interesting, but it doesn't really get us anywhere, does it?
You're just stalling now.
New information, please.
Trying to figure out what we're dealing with here.
Namely, why are some people trans? And why are some trans people obviously trans from an early age, while others take years to figure it out?
Let's go through it again.
If gender is a social construct, why is it that some young trans people can resist the socialization? But if male and female brains exist, and socialization is ineffective, why does it seem to brainwash some of us so we don't figure it out until much later?
You ever have that feeling where you're not sure if you're awake or still dreaming? All the time.
And maybe this doesn't bother you. After all, we don't really know why people are gay either. But you know what we do know? What being gay is.
Look, it's easy.
I can do it in one sentence. It's when you're sexually attracted to the same sex instead of the opposite sex.
Checks out. Okay, sir, you're free to go.
Now, try that with being trans, and you'll get something about gender identity. But then when you try to pin down what gender identity is, you get all these mutually contradictory claims.
I know those words, but that makes no sense.
I just got this feeling.
We've been fighting about everything.
I don't know why you wear that stupid eye patch. You've got two eyes.
The whole room was laughing at you.
Confusion, bickering, recriminations.
Well, that's interesting, because you've been drinking orange juice.
The ones you read are safe.
There's someone here.
But there's nothing here. There's no one.
Keep your eye open.
Wait, I know.
Maybe gender identity isn't fixed. Maybe it can change during your lifetime. Maybe I used to think of myself as a guy, but now I'm leaning more and more towards the girl side, and I'm about to cross the line.
I am a woman.
Maybe there's some kind of dial that can turn up and down, or a switch that can flip when you reach a certain age.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
But in that case, what's to stop it changing back? Why would I risk spending all that cash on hormones and irreversible surgery to make myself look approximately female if in 10 or 20 years' time my gender identity could flip back and leave me trapped in the wrong body again? I'd have to detransition. Well, that'd be a lot of fun. And if gender identity can change so easily, why can't psychiatrists and psychologists change it for us? Why can't we cure transsexualism in the kids? Well, that might sound shocking, but it would fix dysphoria, alleviate suffering, and it would be a lot cheaper in the long run, right?
Deja vu.
I feel like I'm missing something here. The more you look into all this stuff, the more unsettling things become. Here's an example. In September 2019, a small group of North American academics released a document online called Talking About Transgender Experiences, Identities and Existences at Conferences. It gives advice about how to use language that respects transgender people. Sounds great, huh? Well, okay, some of you are probably like,
Oh, don't be so PC.
but even if you do approve, some of the entries are a little troubling. For instance, this one here. Seriously, pause this and have a read. Are they implying what I think they're implying? That it's not a good idea to do scientific research into why people are trans? Because it might offend people?
What's happening? What's going on here?
Well, I bet tobacco companies didn't like research into lung cancer. You what, mate? Did you really just compare being trans to smoking? Are you saying it's hazardous to your health? Are you pathologising transgenderism again? Science can be dangerous, mate. It can be misused. You mentioned a while back that we don't know why people are gay. Don't you think that's a good thing? Don't you know that if we found a gay gene, some people would get abortions if they knew their kid was going to be homosexual? Well, fair point, but some people and some cartoon cats might venture the opinion that having to take hormones for the rest of your life, and or chopping off important bits of your body, is a pretty drastic step. Now, it does help a lot of people with dysphoria.
I must get out of here. I must get free.
But if you later decide you've made a mistake, it could just possibly count as an oopsie-daisy. So wouldn't it be a good idea to know why people are trans and what causes dysphoria? So we can separate the people who would be helped by transition from the people who might change their minds, especially when it comes to kids. Now this is all sounding a bit paranoid and, well, fair enough, I can't blame you. But don't you get the feeling there's something bigger going on?
That's what I've been trying to tell you guys.
What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're babbling about.
Why don't you make another speech, you self-important, deficient little man? All you ever do is talk.
This case is supposed to be full.
So who's laying these eggs?
It must be something we haven't seen yet.
Imagine for a moment that this thing is not anything that can be identified because it prefers not to be.
The name is forbidden.
No one's to know about it, except the senior officers, scientists, and a single conspiracy now no one will believe.
It's already everywhere.
Hiding in the dark space, watching and shaping the earth.
What do you know?
They've reconfigured data to send you in the wrong direction.
Wow. I've seen enough conspiracy videos to know where this is going. Actually, I'm talking about the opposite of a conspiracy. What's the opposite of a conspiracy?
I wonder.
Why should I believe you?
Because you've been drinking orange juice.
Do you understand yet?
You may not like asking questions, but me, once I get started, I can't stop.
Serum.
In the next episode, it's time to put all this abstract theorizing aside for a while and brave the political minefield.
Because I don't think we've seen their real force yet. There'll be a second wave.
I hope you'll join me then. But watch out.
Huh? Dear God, help us all.
Because after that, we're headed out into the cold, dark reaches of deep space.
The horror.
Where it's always night, and there might be vampires out here.
And I'm sorry. But that's when everything changes.
Please don't go. Please.
I have summoned you here for a purpose.
So why a blank card?
You can't say. Well, call me back when you can say. That's not the way I do business.
Before you hang up.
Here's a hint.
Danger. A great power is guiding everything towards an end.
What the hell is that?
We appear to be stuck.
Into what?
Whatever's on the other side.
The moon is hatching.
The moon? Moon is no egg. Moon is goddess, wife of sun. It is known. It is known.
She's very old. She's been with us since the beginning.
The other side of the Matrix.
Trying to trick me into giving away something. It won't work.
It has worked. You've given everything away.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it.
I am a woman.
You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter in your mind. Driving you mad.
Why should I believe you?
Because we both want the same thing.
Yes, a feeling of joy and contentment so powerful you'll wonder how you ever lived without it.
What's the opposite of a conspiracy?
Observe.
Where did you get the directions? Why?
They've taken the false data we're sending as bait.
Believer, I can only hope that the followers still remember.
The more they look at me, It's hard in here. The less they look at you.
The great eye is ever watchful.
Repeat, we've been hijacked by an unknown force. Security has been compromised. I don't know what we're up against here.
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth?
That's no moon.
Do you want to know what it is?
What in the 7 spiral galaxies are you jabbering about?
I'm sure I don't know.